Good afternoon, Patriot pals. Thank you for joining me. Have a good day and God bless you. Let's get into the news. Folks, one of the reasons Donald Trump backed Kevin McCarthy is because CNN just now McCarthy gives Tucker Carlson access to 6 January security footage. Washington Post House Speaker McCarthy gives Tucker Carlson exclusive access to footage. Okay. I did a segment on this earlier, but Trump is essentially releasing this video footage to Fox News through Kevin McCarthy, because it shows that Democrats were lying. It shows that MSNBC and CNN, the Washington Post, the Times, other publications, were not giving the entire story or outright lying about what took place. There's a reason that the January committee, composed of Kinzinger, Cheney and a whole bunch of Democrats, did not want the entire footage out there. Because exonerated almost certainly a number of people. When you see the entire footage, almost certainly you will realize that it was a terrible day. And it should never have taken place. And I condemn it. And it was horrible. But it was not the way it has been portrayed by media in general. Trump did not foment or did not compel people to commit criminal acts. Furthermore, a number of people were simply let in. Then there's the issue of potential involvement by others who have not been part of the story. Okay. Who haven't been addressed by government officials during an investigation. Okay. So there are a number of things we will learn. This is a very, very important event. There are going to be revelations here that, obviously, news did not want you to know. So there's a reason that Democrats fought the release. They didn't want to release this. Republicans, when they were not in power, and Congress tried to get access to all the footage, they were been blocked by Democrats who ran the House of Representatives. Now, the House of Representatives is run by Trump Republicans, not the Paul Ryan type Republican. Okay. That type of Republican is just fine with never-ending military conflict in Europe. A Trump Republican wants an end to it. See, that's the main difference when they use the phrase, "Oh, that make America great again," Republican. Well, that Republican is against that populist type of person, is against never-ending military conflict. That used to be very important to people on the left. Okay, that was very important 20 years ago, and 60 years ago, to people on the left, or maybe they were just pretending because they saw, a Republican was sending Americans in harm's way. And so then, because the Republican was doing it, then they pretended to care about ending military conflict. Anyway, the point is, you have a different type of Republican. They're not going to simply revere and worship state power. They're not going to give reverence. They're not going to give this reverence to media, to government agencies that are going to fight back or at least push back on a very, very flawed narrative. And like I said, every couple of hours be here today because a lot of things are taking place. The footage will be aired on Fox News. There's really no way to debunk, or what they're very good at doing is hiding in plain sight. So they'll be like to defend the indefensible. So the Twitter files, for example, they will focus on bureaucracy. They'll say, this is just bureaucracy. The Federal Bureau of Investigation was actually notifying Twitter of people who broke the law or broke their own guidelines. So therefore, there was no real government involvement. They were just notifying Twitter of Republican accounts who broke Twitter guidelines. And then 250,000 accounts were suspended and Trump was banned. The problem, however, is that there was a political motive. The government did not just work with Twitter to help Twitter become more profitable. They did so to silence a certain political viewpoint. That means you're breaking the First Amendment. The First Amendment was broken by government agencies, and by Twitter officials. They did so for a political motive. The people who say, there's nothing wrong. They think that the FBI officials who were working with Twitter when a political this, of course, is not the case. They had a great deal of contempt. And they didn't like Trump. From day one. They don't like to the agents investigating Trump despised him. We know that from text messages. But we also know that even if you want to say, that's not true, they can have their own opinions. Where is the Federal Bureau of Investigation or any agency? Working with Twitter to silence Democrats? Liberals on Twitter? Oh, that's not how the algorithm, that's not how they ran their company. Exactly. The company targeted and went after a conservative viewpoint, When government sided with the company to silence a conservative viewpoint, and you have the First Amendment eviscerated, okay. They managed to circumvent, or at least they'll never admit that they're wrong. But they managed to simply say, well, that was just protocol, and it was a completely illegal. A lot of the things they do are illegal. Unfortunately, the problem with the footage is that it is going to expose that a narrative was created. It's going to exonerate Trump. It's going to make all the people who said that he tried to overthrow the government look silly and foolish. This was a terrible day and a terrible event, which I condemn. But there was a whole summer of $1 to $2 billion in property damage. Again, I support why people demonstrated that summer, but not a word from Republicans or Democrats about that summer. When there was chaos, political chaos suits one political side, they're silent. When political chaos and mayhem does not suit and it can hurt Trump, then they pontificate and preach and condemn and judge. And that's why the average American does not trust media or government, because they can see what's taking place. They can see even people who don't like Trump can see that a whole bunch of people are ganging up against Trump. They can see that media and Democrats and never Trump heirs are going after Trump. They can see that there is a concerted effort by a whole lot of people, even strange bedfellows in politics, to go after Trump to lie about him. And even people who don't like Trump can realize that okay, that's what the never Trump heirs don't understand. The never Trump heirs have convinced themselves that if they could just find a good candidate like DeSantis is fantastic, but he's fantastic because he's like Trump, not because he's like Mitt Romney. And the second that media really turns their sights on DeSantis, and the hit pieces are endless, like they are with Trump, suddenly, the never Trump heirs will realize, oh, goodness, media really doesn't. It wasn't about Trump. It was about a game plan, a rubric, a roadmap, a template against any Republican. The issue is, after 2016 they didn't level enough animus towards Trump. The media didn't do enough to stop Trump. Government agencies didn't. And some significant news. What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and well, look who has finally emerged from their hidey hole 18 full days after the incident that happened in East Palestine, Ohio, only after Donald Trump said he was gonna go there, and only after Trump saying that forced FEMA to act, and only after the masses of viewers out there like you, people on Twitter, shared the story. Only then did Pete Buttigieg get off his rear end and agreed to go to a city. This guy gets absolutely zero credit for showing up. He should have been there. Day one, it is literally his job. Okay, President Biden going to Ukraine and just flying right over Ohio. Whoopsie. Later buddies go, oh. Gosh, I really told Air Force One to stop. But they told me no ogre or curses. It's one of the biggest embarrassments for Democratic leadership, and really, bipartisan leadership that this country has seen in a long time. I suppose there's another disaster. But it's yeah, as somebody who considers themselves, fiscally conservative, maybe on social issues more liberal than maybe even my viewers are. This is come on, guys. We can't reach across the aisle and help these people. Everything has to be politicized. Everything has to be about getting votes. These are citizens that are, I reported on yesterday had some, people are having sore throats and rashes and all this kind of stuff. But no, Pete Buttigieg didn't want to show up to do his dang job because it would have made the president look bad. Because Joe Biden is too busy having 2 scoops of ice cream on his cones and flying to Ukraine for his little buddy. That's gonna suck us into World War III. Cheese. I wonder if Ukraine has some sort of photographs of his son, or some sort of damaging evidence that is making Joe Biden act like this guy's got him by the short and curlies. Gee, I wonder. I can't know for sure. But it sure seems suspicious that this guy has, the most powerful country in the world did tap dancing and bending over backwards to meet his every need. Now, defensive Pete Buttigieg says he'll have finally go to Ohio toxic train site 18 days after, then has the absolute unmitigated gall to claim that Trump's visit tomorrow is just a photo op. As East policy mayor calls Biden's Kyiv trip the biggest slap in the face? Of course it is. It's absolutely absurd that it would be portrayed anywhere else. This is one that I'm just a simple man politically. I don't know everything about foreign policy, all this stuff I never have, I never will. It's not something that, is in my wheelhouse. But however, what I will say is just a simple man's position. It's like, gosh, we have millions of homeless people in this country, millions of people who are addicted to pills, millions of people that are living below the poverty line. But we have trillions of dollars to send to the country where your son worked for a power company for a job that he had absolutely no qualifications to have. I mean, sometimes things are just that simple. And I'm really starting to think this whole thing stinks. And it did from the start. But I've always tried to give some benefit of the doubt. But when you're talking about, we don't have money to build a wall to secure our borders, and stop the hundreds of thousands of people pouring over it and putting massive strains on those weak systems that we already have. But we have trillions to send to his little actor, little fluffer boy Zelensky. And look, I have, shout out to the Ukrainian people. They didn't ask for any of this and I hope for their safety. And also, sorry, shout out to the Russian citizens. They didn't ask for any of this. They didn't want this. They have a leader doing whatever it is that they want to do, and they don't care about the will of the people. And that's something I think I can relate to. Now, Pete Buttigieg revealed Tuesday that he will go to East Palestine after intense backlash ensued when he did not visit after President Joe Biden instead headed for Ukraine. In the aftermath of the train derailment. Let me be very clear. The Democrats will not win Ohio in 2024. There is a 0% chance after this Midwesterners we remember okay. And don't think that whatever Republican runs whatever other words, Trump or DeSantis or whatever they're going to make everyone remember East Policy Mayor, Trump Conaway tore into the President Joe Biden's trip to Ukraine in the midst of the derailment, claiming he refused to focus on domestic issues and said parade around the war-torn Eastern European country was a slap in the face war-torn. I don't know about all that. Imagine thinking. I'm supposed to believe that. Putin's so dangerous that we sent our president there. We told everyone in the world where he'd be and when he'd be there. Gee, I'm starting to wonder if maybe people are inflating just how dangerous the Ruskies are. Okay. Buttigieg, however, downplayed the need for an administrative official to go. That's your frickin' job. You're the face of it. I don't care if you don't feel like there needs to be an official on the ground. That's your job. Okay. I don't care if you have 1,000 underlings, doing every little thing. You put your boots on the ground. In his case, they're probably some sort of leather snakes and crap that he bought at some S&M shop, but I don't care. Put them on the ground and go help these people. Don't go there. And don't take any frickin' pictures. Don't do any press conferences. Go there and look at the water. Go there and drink the water. Breathe the air. I wonder if Pete Buttigieg was maybe just waiting 3 weeks for things to clear up a little bit. But they sent everybody back in town after just a few hours. This sucks. He suggested that former President Donald Trump up his upcoming trip to Ohio on Wednesday as the photo op as part of his 2024 campaign bidding to take helm of the White House, if it is. So I guarantee you that Trump announcing that he was going to go to East Palestine, the fact that he was going to go there in the first place. And then suddenly, FEMA the very next day was like, oh, I guess we'll help these people. Like, you don't think there's 0% of me that believes that those two things are not correlated. The idea that President Trump still gets more stuff done out of office than he ever did in office. It seems like it's absolutely ridiculous. I don't care if it is a photo op. Why weren't you there on the first day, dude? He goes ever since I can't wait for him to say all this criticism homophobic to that's coming. Ever since I came into this job. I've seen the power that a multi-billion-dollar railroad companies wield and they fight safety regulations tooth and nail. That's got to change. The future cannot be looked the past. Wow. Thanks, Pete. Booty. Judge, what Harry Potter book did you take that out of? It's absolutely absurd. Transportation Secretary Buttigieg said that National Transportation Safety Board, the NTSB, this agency responsible for investigating civil transportation accidents, should be able to work independently to address the mishap without his presence. That's not the point. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. If you're up for it, I'm gonna get back to work. Thanks for watching.